Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen, ishpata.
Bخير Agile, Ni Hao, Chirushume, Washmale, Ohio Gonzalez, Guten Morgen, Hola, Boyor, Privyet, Kaifahal, Hale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasal, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabi, Ambali Kare. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You watching World this morning alongside my very amazing co-host, Ms. Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Shazad Hassan Khan. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing on a very sunny, fine Tuesday morning over here in Islamabad?
I'm doing great, thank you so much for asking. Although, yes, it is absolutely sunny, but for the past 2 days, are you noticing that as soon as it's time for us to sleep, I mean, it gets dark, there is always a thunderstorm. I don't know if it ends up raining or not, but in the area where I live, there is definitely a lightning storm when I'm sleeping.
Well, actually, you know what? You probably live closer to the sky. That might
Probably.
probably be the reason as well. But yeah, that's true. And I believe that we are lucky enough. I don't know whether to put it this way or not, because then climate change and all of these things do come in your head as well. But since it's May, ladies and gentlemen, late May now, and May is going to end probably in next 3-4 days as well. So what I think is that for May, this month was very cold, in fact, and even last night while I was coming back from work, I could realize that the car air conditioner wasn't required. So I actually had to turn it off, roll down my windows, and I could get some good breeze. And I was happy that that it's not too hot over here in Islamabad these days as well.
I absolutely love the fact. I do not like summer. I want to use the word hate. I absolutely hate summer. But Shazad, while this makes me happy, like you said, it also makes you wonder, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not supposed to be this cold or this moderate even in May, which makes you think if it's so pleasant up until now, June, July is going to be so extremely severe that it is going to be so hard for a lot of people, especially probably in the coastal areas or the hot regions like, well, Sindh or Jacobabad or, areas around that as
Yeah.
well. So fingers crossed, I really hope it turns out to be well, good for a lot of people. It dates back to centuries, actually, why we are now facing a lot of heat. We need to talk about
Yeah,
that. Before
yeah.
that, Shazad, I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So there's a movie called Idiocracy,
Okay.
if that's how you pronounce it. It
Does
is
it have to do something with somebody being very idiot?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, well, just to summarize it came back in 2005 and it is a genius because it speaks of the future, how two people sort of travel to the future, and they see that it is actually it is such a chaotic place to be. It is such a wreck. People are so, not very smart as well because as much as we are sort of, going on to science now, technology now, and trying to do all the newer things, when we move into the future, we've become so dumb that we forgot to take care of the earth. So we are continuously producing newer stuff. We are continuously making newer things, regardless of the impact it will have on the environment and probably a few years later on.
Yeah.
There will be just garbage and us existing in the garbage.
And
And
that's
people like Elon Musk just flying away.
Yeah, and that's certainly something, ladies and gentlemen, that we don't want. And today,
Definitely.
which is why that we've actually picked up on urbanization, ladies and gentlemen, not just urbanization. We want to talk about how urbanization have had an impact on our environment. Because, if you go back 8,000 years ago, that's when, people found out, hey, there's something like agriculture. So,
Yeah.
when we come down to agriculture, we talk about how we have transformed the land for our needs and requirements. Okay.
Yes.
That's fine. Now, coming towards urbanization, there was a lot of industry which came into being as well. And then finally we realized, hey, you know what, that there are these fumes and gases which we leave in the air. And so there was an impact on our environment constantly. And it was because of the fact that people did something to the land and to the air. And not just that, now since water is going to be scarce for the rest of the world, well, majority of the countries are facing problems. As of now as well, we see a lot of islands being depleted from the map as well.
Yeah.
So where are we headed? And how urbanization is having an impact on our environment is something we wanted to talk about, which is why we have a comprehensive
Yes.
report to share with you all so that you can have a better understanding. And then we have a beautiful expert over here who's going to let us know that, hey, you know what, this is how urbanization is actually having an impact. So go ahead. I'm very keen to kind of listen to this kind
Learn,
of conversation.
yes.
And for everybody who's out there in 46 different countries, hey, this might be your very first time, but not the last time. Let's do this.
Let's take a look.
Growing urban affluence tends to have profound environmental consequences, but the net impact depends heavily on how the transition is managed. The promise of jobs and prosperity, among other factors, pulls people to cities. Half of the global population already lives in cities, and by 2050, two-thirds of the world's population are expected to live in urban areas. But in cities, two of the most pressing problems facing the world today also come together: poverty and environmental degradation. Poor air and water quality, insufficient water availability, waste disposal problems, and high energy consumption are exacerbated by the increasing population density and demands of urban environments. Strong city planning will be essential in managing these and other difficulties as the world's urban areas swell. Intensive urban growth can lead to greater poverty, with local governments unable to provide services for all the people. Concentrated energy use leads to greater air pollution with significant impact on human health. Automobile exhaust produces elevated lead levels in urban air. Large volumes of uncollected waste create multiple health hazards. Urban development can magnify pollution, and physical barriers to root growth promote loss of urban tree cover. Animal populations are inhabited by toxic substances, vehicles, and the loss of habitat and food sources.
So yeah, wonderful. But the article I got my hands on, ladies and gentlemen, actually dated back in 2004, and it said that almost in Asia, a total population which lives in the urban areas is 37%. So if we kind of come down to 2021, I believe it's going to be more than 50%. That's what I'm looking forward to, because in the last 10 or 15 years, we have seen a lot of digital transformation. We have seen a lot of urbanization. We have seen a lot of people coming in, industries coming in, a lot of newer ideas coming in as well. So the kind of impact, let's talk about it, and how it's having an impact on our environment is something we want to talk about, because we are sincerely concerned about environment and climate change as well.
Definitely so. So to talk about that, of course, we've been joined by, like Shahzad mentioned, a very perfect and apt guest over here in the studio. She happens to be an environmentalist, very well spoken and very well informed, Miss Momi Salim. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the show. So I think you did hear the introduction. Just to add on to that, it was only until the 90s that the governments came and sat together to discuss that we need to do something.
Yeah.
Why so late, and where does Pakistan stand in that?
And that was a shock for me to learn as well, that
Yeah.
that it took the entire world a lot of time to
Yes.
kind of come together and talk about climate change and environment.
I think it was only in 90s
Yes.
when, as you said, the world came together. It was not only in 90s, but I think the movement actually started in 70s.
Okay.
But it was only that it culminated in
Okay,
90s,
okay.
and then there was a convention and people came together in Rio de Janeiro, and then also in Pakistan, for that matter, it was the first time for Pakistan to have environmental policy, which was very forward-looking, because I think in early 90s, as you've asked what it means for Pakistan and what Pakistan's role was internationally, early 90s, Pakistan had a very, very strong role. Of course, our diplomats were on the forefront of discussing this, but we also had a lot of experts who would go out and then also plead the case of Pakistan. Because when we say, as you know, Pakistan is a developing country, and most of the pollution and most of the environmental issues are because of the developed world. Most of the contribution of greenhouse gases that we talk about have been contributed by West, because they were industrializing in last 100 years, and Pakistan being a developing country, and many other countries in the south were not, at that pace. So they did not contribute. So for right now, Pakistan has only 0.08% of contribution in greenhouse gases, which is nominal, which is nothing at all. Now is the time that Pakistan and many countries in the south are developing, and this debate at the international level that, historic responsibility and shared responsibility now that we have to develop, but I think it has become obsolete after Paris Agreement, which happened in 2015, which was of Conference of Parties who came together, and they decided that yes, of course, Western world has to pay for it, but at the same time, also those which are rising economies have to now decouple the economies from carbon emissions. And largely this all is happening in urban areas, as we all know, because urban areas do provide alternatives to the kind of livelihood that we had earlier in rural areas, which were associated to, as you were mentioning, which were associated to agriculture or resources and everything.
Oh, just one small thing though, when you talk about a legally binding contract, which I take the Paris Agreement was, how does that leave you to, well, leave you space to actually opt out of it like US did? One of the largest contributors, not just US, among others as well, has probably the exceptionalist, I want to say, comes under the exceptionalist umbrella of actually opting out whenever it wants. How does that work?
See,
diplomatic
UN
tool.
bodies, indeed.
No, but then what does legally binding mean?
See, I mean, UN as a
Yes.
body, unfortunately, although it's one of the most useful bodies if countries use it, like, you know, usually it is a debate that, you know, it has never been able to successfully, you know, arrive at
But
some
on
kind
paper
of.
they do, yeah.
But yeah, no, but then at the same time, imagine a world without UN. Right? So imagine a world without these treaties. I do understand it is legally binding, but legally binding how? Now, although US has stepped out, but there
Yes.
are other ways with which they could be kind of brought into it, because
Okay.
carbon taxes will be implied on every country that actually produces using fossil fuels. So in a way, they are in the circle. That's why it is called legally binding that way.
Got it, got it.
But UN as such, as a platform, cannot kind of bind them. It is only through these initiatives that the world is trying to, you know, world leaders are trying to sort of, you know, come together.
And which is why it makes me think that, you know, if one day we wake up and we get to know that there's no United Nations, I don't think that it's going to make any difference. I'm sorry, but it's a longer debate. And I can get into trouble for saying that as well, but that's the truth. Believe me on this one as well. And, you know, I have certain other researches to back it up. But not just that, you know, since I mentioned and Shiza mentioned, and I believe that it was a wonderful question to ask that, you know, that since now for till late 90s, you know, or probably you said that in 1970s they started this drive and that people started to talk about. Pretty much, you know, all of those countries which wanted that development, which wanted to kind of progress, had already progressed. And now when, you know, for all of those countries to make sure that, you know, that this progression does not go to any other continent, you know, they come up with these diplomatic tools. Let's not go over there, okay? But now, you know, for countries like Pakistan, for countries like Indonesia, for countries like, you know, probably China, because they've done quite a lot of good deals to themselves. What I want is that, you know, we should rather talk about alternate energy or reusable energy so that we can kind of progress and then do the same as well without even, you know, kind of adding on to the greenhouse gases as well. So how can we do that? And then urbanization at the same time. And then do you think that urbanization is actually an indicator of progression?
There are a couple of questions
Yeah,
there. So,
Multitudes.
starting with the first one, of course, I mean, it's not that, see, you have to find alternate pathways to development, and that is exactly what you mentioned in
Electric
your
cars and
question
everything coming in.
as well, exactly. So, it's shifting from fossil-based, you know, energy to renewable. But unfortunately, South, or I would say developing countries do not have technological, you know, advancement.
Yes, of
And that is exactly where most of these negotiations stop, because the South asks for technology transfer, but of course that is not without money and all of that. They would not do that. But one thing that South has is youth. And youth can actually do innovation, and we are very lucky to have current, you know, Kamyab Jawan program, which is now investing. In fact, I curated the Green Youth Movement, and it has been approved now.
Congratulations
so
on that.
Thank you very much. So they are actually now trying to give small grants to youth, young people in universities, so that they do eco-innovation in order to come up with solutions to these environmental problems. However, talking about urbanization, urbanization is contributing a lot to environmental degradation. It is not that urbanization itself is contributing, but it is the unplanned urbanization.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
for saying that.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that in detail. And speaking of, I think, staying relevant to where we are in the region especially, well, right now we are hailing from the federal capital of Pakistan. And when we talk about Islamabad, it is on to the journey of becoming something absolutely beautiful. I mean, right now we're
Second
obsessed
best
with it.
capital in the world.
Definitely. But Shahzad,
So why second? I like the number one.
yeah, but like you said, Momi, I think it doesn't come without having to bear the brunt of, you know, payment and sort of payback as well. For example, nothing comes without repercussions. Brick kilns is something very important in Pakistan.
Bhatte,
Yes, where you make eente or bricks for that matter. So I was watching the documentary 2 days ago, Shahzad, where people who do make bricks out of them actually said that for so many years we've been using the traditional brick kilns with a lot of thick black smoke coming out, and they said not even for one moment did we think that the that the black gas is actually going to do something to us. They said that we were so ignorant, we just thought कि asman mein chali gayi. It went into the sky. How can you not think about it? But now there are newer methods introduced. There was one with burying without no smoke. Well, they were happy with the newer method. But that, what does that leave? 70 years of that practice. I mean, we definitely have to bear the repercussions. Let's talk about similar trends, like also Shahzad mentioned electrical vehicles. How can we sort of hop onto the newer bandwagons, being Pakistanis, and then planned urbanization. Islamabad, how can we do that?
Yeah.
Well, for Islamabad, we already have this one of the movements, which is called Reclaiming Green Islamabad, and that
Yes.
came together. It's a citizens' movement,
Okay.
and it came together only because of the same thing, that Islamabad is the only planned city in the whole of Pakistan, and surprisingly, also we were very forward-looking in 60s, where we were the second country to actually have that.
And I don't think whether we should actually be saying that only city.
No, only city,
Which
only
is actually
planned,
yeah, which
planned
is-
city, which
yeah,
has a
rather
proper
we can
master
say
plan.
that Islamabad's plan.
But unfortunately, that is
Yes.
being distorted in last few years, and unfortunately, that is because of the increasing population as well, and urbanization as well. See, I mean, we don't need to actually shift everybody to cities. As you know, Pakistan has a highest rate of urbanization in the entire South Asia as well.
Okay, I
so
didn't know that.
which is alarming. Why? Because we do not have that kind of planning. We do not have economic planning. We don't have social planning. We don't have environmental planning. And it's not only about the country population, but population concentration at a certain place as well. We see what happened to Karachi. We see what happened to Lahore. They started expanding, and now the administration cannot take care of this huge. There was a discussion on Karachi as well to split it into 4 administrative zones, just because one cannot do it with one. So likewise, now Islamabad is expanding to that level, and unfortunately it has this plan of Dinopolis, which is to say along the GT road, just going Grand Trunk Road, just going straight and not really, and having downtown in each of the sectors. Why? Because you don't have to actually waste your time on traveling and everything, and the government doesn't have to provide that kind of amenities in order for everybody. For your one need, you have to travel like 30 kilometers to get to hospital.
Absolutely.
That was not the idea of Islamabad. But unfortunately, with these increasing housing societies which are not planned,
I was about to
this
talk
is
about that
happening.
as well.
Yeah.
And since Karachi myself as well, so other than paying like 100,000 or 200,000 house rent, you actually have to pay 50-60,000 rupees for that water bowser, which is actually going to come to your home.
Really?
Because there's no water in the pipelines, and there's water mafia over there, and everybody wants to take the most of advantage of the situation. And people over here, I believe that if there are authorities out there, I mean, how can we let anybody develop the land around Islamabad for that reason? Because if we are to plan a city, I believe that the government really needs to play an important role. Because talking about all of these property dealers coming in and making sure to sell their own society and make millions and billions of rupees for that matter and drive Porsche cars, they're bringing the damage to the country for the cost which they are enjoying themselves rather than investing it back. Now, if we want to talk about healthier urbanization, now, and you missed out on one question, whether urbanization is an indicator of progress. That's one thing which I wanted to ask. And number two, so how can we move about doing healthier or environmental friendly urbanization? What are the techniques adopted by the West to do so?
See, urbanization.
Yes, go on.
Urbanization is not, I don't think it's a sign of development. It is not an indicator, because I mean, what is development? Development is not infrastructure, which is unfortunately how we
Our
translate
understanding.
it, right? Development, I would say, is linked to human development. See what happened to Greece when it was going down. Now they have gone back to the basics, going to the agriculture, which is to say that what is required by the population, because development is for the people. So what do they need in order to improve their standard of living? That is what it is.
Okay.
So urbanization itself is not an indicator. However, of course, it gives you alternative to the traditional, kind of economic activities that we do have. And in talking about friendly urbanization, it is very important that we limit the cities in terms of population concentration. The other thing is vertical growth is very important rather than horizontal growth. Provision of transportation, we also have to plan that, because that's one of the most important things in cities, because in Pakistan 40% of greenhouse gases are coming from transportation. You talked about electric vehicles, although we have a policy, but I think it shouldn't be for individual transportation. It should actually be for public transportation
transport,
going on
absolutely.
electricity.
And you know, there's a good news that they're actually thinking about converting these metro buses into electric vehicles as well.
Well, we hope that happens as well.
There are plans for that, but it has to be fast-tracked.
And Momi, you know where you said that I
I
think
like
our
how
biggest
comfortable
resource.
she's gotten already. So, Bhumi, you know, that's wonderful.
No, but you know, when we talk about the biggest resource right now we have as Pakistanis is our youth, of course.
Yeah.
I came across a brand, so two entrepreneurs came together to make handbags out of
Jute.
succulent plants. Yes,
Yeah.
rather than using leather or animal skin for that matter, they're using cactus or similar plants to make handbags. Looked absolutely
That
beautiful.
would be a
This is
bag
just-
nobody would want to touch.
no, it was, of course it was
Safe.
polished, of course it was polished, but I think this is a brilliant idea rather of sort of saving the environment. One thing I want you to make
I
us
mean, if it's
understand.
out of a cactus, how are they saving in the environment? You know, they're still using plants to make bags.
Isn't that a good thing? I mean,
No, I
rather
don't
than
think
using.
so. You know, they're killing plants to do so.
I am going to share a video
If they're
with you.
not killing an animal, they're rather killing a plant.
No, but that's like
You need to
justified as
explain.
long as you're recycling and reusing
Exactly.
that bag.
Yeah.
Because it won't. It is degradable. First of all,
So
you get it?
imagine, you know, so you took a bag, it was made out of cactus, and you used it 6 months, and after 6 months, there's nothing left of it because it degraded or something like that.
Don't
It's
just
very
lie in the air.
complicated. But Moment, so one
On a
thing I
lighter
was
note.
reading, I was reading that, of course, the rate of urbanization going on in the world, it is going to land us into 2 degrees centigrade higher global temperature. What does that mean? How are we contributing to that? And if it happens globally without our contribution, will we be impacted by it?
We'll definitely, because see, environment doesn't have boundaries, first of all.
Okay.
And when we talk about this rise of temperature, that is exactly what the world is fighting against, because it
But
should
sorry,
go.
but it sounds so simple, right? कि दो degree ज़्यादा हो जाएगा.
2 degree, not the weather, not the temperature itself, but
Okay.
actually the climate ka jo, I mean, of course,
The planet's climate altogether.
planet's temperature as a whole, when that is going
Oh,
to
dear
rise, that's
gosh.
actually,
So
yeah, that's exactly which is worrisome. And talking about, I mean, you said about housing societies and not also about innovation and youth. I would just connect the 3 and say that we need to open new sectors of economy, because one of the impacts of this is that mostly, you know, we have this housing society which is kind of, you know, it is all about land mafia or whatever. I mean,
सड़कें नहीं
that's
बनाएंगे,
happening.
बीच में पाइपें नहीं
Right,
डली
that's
हुई है।
happening, right?
Yes.
Plot है लेकिन।
Yeah, but then you have to actually also invest in youth more and more in order to have innovation for opening up new sectors of economy which are more greener. Right,
Okay,
as you talked
okay.
about this innovation, this is
Yes.
very interesting. There are many young people who have brilliant ideas,
Yeah.
but they need that seed money in order to have a startup, and then government is doing a lot on that, but I think there is a need to do more, because and then young people need to be given these problems, which are actually the problems of future, you know, where they will be.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, and you know, it actually so just last year I got done with my master's degree, and in one of my so I don't remember exactly what the course was, but the
I just said Marshall,
final-
and the next thing comes out is like, I still don't remember the course, but yeah.
No,
but
I'm just saying in the final exam there was a question carrying 12 marks which said that lay out a policy, NUS, because so I was studying in NUST, it said lay out a policy for NUST that will be environment friendly. So at that moment we did realize as students that they want something best out of our minds. And you know, 1 year later, like just few weeks back probably, I came across it that most parts of those answers were incorporated into the national environment policy as well. So I feel like that was the brainstorming we were supposed to do. And that made me feel that this should be a part of each and every single education institution in Pakistan, because that is how you're making your youth useful and resourceful, isn't it? I was proud of the fact that maybe I was a part of it. Maybe my
You
ideas
are,
didn't
you
come
are.
into being, but point being that we were being engaged.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and I believe that's the direction forward as well. But one last thing very quickly before we wrap up this segment, and that is that, you know, since we've spoken about it, you said that, you know, rather than going horizontal, we need to go vertical. You know, there should be better practices out there. One last thing, and you know, since you spoke about this initiative where the seed money is being given now as well, and that you took that initiative in the first place, I believe, and I still remember that, you know, when we were in our university and we had to do projects, so we actually had to get money from our parents.
Yeah.
And then whatever project we did, the university would keep that project. You know, they were
And own it.
Yeah, they were kids when I was in my university who were actually making electric bikes and whatnot, and they're still with the university. So rather than university giving us the money and, you know, kind of telling us, hey, you know what, you know, it's all for you to go and please make sure that, you know, you kind of find your essence. Well, but we couldn't. So how do you think that this initiative of yours is going to have an impact, that too, which is going to have a positive impact on the environment?
See, this is the government's initiative. I just helped them curate it and design
It came out of your
It
brain,
is
of
going
course.
to it is going to help, of course, because see, when young people have more energy, more ideas, when you give them a direction, they are able to kind of, you know, really take it forward. And then we have international platforms where you could connect. Private sector has a lot of role to play in it, and I'm glad to also say that government as well as many of the civil society members are now trying to actually get private sector into it in order to, you know, take this forward and really invest into it, because at the end of the day, they will also be beneficiaries, and they also have to pay back to the society through their corporate social responsibility. So I think linking that is very important, because in South Asia, a lot of other countries have already done that. We rely on donor money, but in many countries, CSR money is now being given for development, because, you know, it is being put into one place and then, you know, given, dispersed.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us. It was wonderful to have you over here in the
Thank you very
studios to be in conversation with such a learned person. I believe that, you know, we were lucky today, you know, to kind of listen to what you actually had to say related to urbanization and environment as well. But ladies and gentlemen, it's not just urbanization and environment all by itself. I believe that there's a lot to talk about digital transformation as well.
Because, you know, Shahzad, of course,
go hand in
while
hand.
yes, but while everything is literally moving on to something digital, that is also leaving a footprint. We need to talk about it, because I think we are becoming as ignorant as our ancestors might have been in the last century while we're hopping on to everything digital, because we need to look at the footprint, because, of course, the generations to come have to face it. This is what we will be talking about. Stay tuned to learn more with us. Good morning. Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shahzad Khan and Shazza Hashmi, and today we're trying to be responsible citizens of Pakistan and learning along with you guys, because, well, in the first segment, one thing we learned is we definitely have to be sure of of rather making sure that urbanization that we're on to is not harmful to the environment, because that has long-term effects. But now let's talk about digitization and digital transformation, because I feel like, Shahzad, it's happening in every single avenue of our lives, is it?
Wonderful. And you know, just before the break, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of decided that Shiza is actually going to do the welcome back, and then I'll let you know about that. We will be talking about digital transformation, but you know, okay, there are these two aspects which we want to discuss today. How digital transformation has helped make life easier, number one. And number two, you know, in these times of pandemic and COVID-19, where everybody is just, you know, kind of at their homes, you know, so learning should never stop. So how education has taken benefit of digital transformation, and we would like to begin with a small report, and then we'll introduce our amazing guest as well. So please go ahead, take a look, and let's see what our guests have to say about digital transformation. Good morning.
Let's do it.
Digital transformation is the integration of digital technology into all areas of a business. It results in fundamental changes to the way a business operates. Companies are using this process to remake their businesses to be more efficient and more profitable. A digital transformation is changing the way an organization operates. Systems, processes, workflow, and culture are all evaluated. This transformation affects each level of an organization and brings together data across areas to work together more effectively. By taking advantage of workflow automation and advanced processing, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning, companies can connect the dots on the customer journey in a way that wasn't possible before. Most businesses are collecting mountains of data on customers, but the real benefit is optimizing this data for analysis that can drive the business forward. Digital transformation creates a system for gathering the right data and incorporating it fully for business intelligence at a higher level.
Yeah, so you kind of heard it as well. Business intelligence at a hard level, which I believe that, you know, that everybody kind of needs to talk about. But ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I believe that my first question, which I'll be posing, is whether technology is a product with which we are being blindfolded, that everybody kind of needs it and the companies make money out of it, or technology is literally required in today's time.
We are the product.
Yes, exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, we are very lucky that we've been actually joined by a technology expert. He happened to be the country head of SAP, which happens to be an IT company as well. He is Mr. Saqib Ahmed. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Assalamu alaikum ji. Assalamu
Walaikum
alaikum.
salam, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. And alongside Saqib Saab, ladies and gentlemen, we are lucky that we've been actually joined by the head department industrial linkages, ICRA University. He is Mr. Usman Kamal Saab. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very
So,
much.
sir, I'll start my conversation with you because you'll be letting us know how technologies or digital transformation is making our lives better. So, are we literally blindfolded because, you know, we're consuming technology every single day by thinking that, okay, it's going to do something good to our life? Or is it the companies using their own intelligence and selling technology just for no reason?
I think that it's a very simple answer. Think about your lives today. It's all revolving around technology, and you are making the life of the people better around you. I always say the digital transformation is all about if you are able to make the life of the people better. Now, it is not necessarily do it only for yourself. It's also about all the ecosystem that you are working in. So just think about, for the moment in Pakistan, if you go to 5-6 years back, all the pensioners were standing in the long lines outside the banks. But today, they get all this money transferred digitally in their accounts over there. 10 years back, all our parents were going to get all the bills submitted out over there outside the banks as well. Today, you do it online. Your credit card bills out over there, they are all being submitted on. How many times you are going to the banks even today these days? All this digital IT transformation, and especially come to the COVID times at this very point of time. Think about it. Suddenly, when all the businesses, all the people, all the ecosystem, education system has to be started suddenly working from homes. This was only possible because there was digital IT tools that were available, and our teams and our people were enabled enough to use that tools as well. I think digital and IT transformation is not anymore a tool which is sold by the IT companies towards them. I think people themselves demand, especially if you think about our entrepreneurs today, they are all building these small things out over there which are going to help the complete ecosystem around our IT companies as well as the ecosystems across Pakistan as well. In the COVID times, different IT companies were trying to help through the IT tools. There was a time back in June when there was a lot of issue that the ventilators were not available for the Pakistan, and these IT companies provided the links to the ventilator, the people who were making that one, connecting over there as well, and we were able to give that hospitals that needs that were required over there as well. Clean water, environment you talked about earlier in that portion as well. All these things connect together. You on your mobile carry your business today. On your mobile is your office today. You can be working across on the car, you are working in your homes, and you are all connected and available as well.
Yeah, so it depends whether you need a new office or not.
That's the talk of the town today, especially in this world that is changing so fast.
Exactly.
Right, definitely so. But it absolutely makes one think at what price. Now, this is a very common debate, Shahzad, and I think there is always another part of the another flip side to the coin as well. I want to save it. I want to save that for the later end as well. Talking about digital transformation of education, Shahzad, because I remember when I was choosing my courses for my university, there was only few. For example, generally speaking, for example, there were 3, and I had to choose one of those 3. Now I am so ecstatically happy. Maybe I didn't know back then, but now I know that I can actually, sitting at the expense of my bed, actually learn a course from a university situated in the best part of the world, probably overseas. Is digital transformation a good thing in the education sector? Moving on to you, Mr. Kamal.
Okay, so let's talk about when we were on campus. As you mentioned that before pandemic, we were on campus, we were taking education, we have to come to the classrooms. But now, during pandemic, we have seen that even we are sitting anywhere around the world. So you can take an education from any university around the world. So yesterday I got an email from Harvard School, and they were offering some courses. So I just need to pay the amount of money, even if I can't go over there. So at least I'm sitting at home. I can register my courses, just as you just mentioned, that we have a list of courses, we can select any course, we can sit back, we can even if we can't go online. So let's talk about those areas where internet is not available. So a person can go to any city, major city, and over a weekend he can download their lectures, they can download the assignments, and go back to his home, his or her home. He can download, he can go through the lecture, he can do his or her assignment, go back to the main city, and can upload their assignment and work over there. So I believe that this pandemic, yes, everyone is talking about this COVID, this is very harmful. This is one side. If we go towards, look at the other side of the coin, so there were a few benefits, and education is one of them.
Definitely, definitely.
I'm going to disagree 100%. I'm not even going to say partially, and it's because of the fact that when I went to university, I had a very different array of experiences, and it's because of the fact that it wasn't just learning definitions, or it wasn't just about the books or the lectures. It was rather about presentation. It's about having a sports club, or probably leading or heading a sports club as well, a drama club, and whatnot, which I believe would actually bring out the true colors of your personality, rather when you would be in front of somebody, because inshallah, that's what we hope for, that COVID's not going to be around for a longer period of time. We want people to behave like people. So imagine that a hybrid generation we are going to bring out, because we have a youth budget over here in the country, where rather kids being attentive for their lectures, they are making comments and remarks, that too about their teachers as well. No presentation skills, no interpersonal skills, no personality development. There's so many things which we need to talk about. So I believe that education has taken the toll because of the pandemic. Rather, we would have given rest to students and not promote them for another year and be like, hey, you know what, these are the essentials and everybody needs to go through. What's your take on this?
Okay, you're very right that if we are going to the campus, we can learn so many different things. For instance, as you mentioned, we were a part of a club. You were playing something, or presentation. Even if you are in a class, a teacher might ask you to give a presentation, or you can perform something. You are acting, for instance, if you talk about media, so a person, he has to perform.
Realistic case study.
Yeah. So yes, this is a drawback of online learning. But what I was pointing out was, if I can't afford to go outside for any reason, for family reason or otherwise, so I can sit back home, I can register any course from any other university. What those universities need, they need money. So I can simply pay their dues.
Every university needs money.
It's a business. So it's
And yes, you're absolutely right, and I will speak on behalf of, because I think I'm supposed to, they're also my friends, on young mothers who don't probably have the time to make it out to university. They are opting a lot for online courses, and it makes me so happy because they're not holding back their dreams, but now they have the opportunity to actually make most of whatever is available. Moving on to you, Mr. Ahmed, when we talk about digital transformation, we are hoping, fingers crossed, that not only in, well, education, it actually assists us in different avenues of life, like I already said. So do we hope for more employment chances? Let's talk about Pakistan practically or specifically.
So whenever you talk about digital or IT transformation in Pakistan, there are opportunities, and there are many opportunities for the youth as well.
Okay.
If you go back into the 90s, you will see yourself that usually people used to have only one lag of studies like engineering or medical out there, and then they were making their careers in that one for the next 30 to 35 years. The world is not the same anymore.
Exactly.
People would like to learn, unlearn, and learn again. That is a new phenomena today. The education becomes much more important because the technology is moving so fast and so rapidly out over there as well. Think about it. The VCRs were there, they were gone. The DVDs were there,
Like
they were
this.
gone.
Yes.
Now you are all working on the Netflix of the world, and there is the download, and the data is the new fuel today. That's
Absolutely,
what it is, the
absolutely.
reality today as well. So the whole dynamics of how you used to have studies, how you are implementing that study in your day-to-day work, and how you are working as well, all these dynamics are changing on a rapid pace. So the opportunities, they are coming so fast. Let me say clearly that the industries, they are vanishing and the new industries are coming. There are new overall horizons of the new entrepreneurship, the new opportunities that are bringing in so fast. We all know that how we were able to get this tele data centers out over there all across Pakistan. We were able to connect, provide all these information outside Pakistan as well. The world is not, the opportunity is not in Pakistan. The world right now is an overall opportunity overall across all parts of the world. And you can, sitting over here in Pakistan, get the businesses all across Europe and America as well. So it's more about how we approach the digital IT transformation, how we are able to adopt itself, how we are able to accept the change that is coming so fast, and then we are also ready to accept that change. I always say in my interviews there that if you remember back in 90s, the guy who was leading the organization is the one with the white hair because he had the maximum experience.
Experience, absolutely,
over
absolutely.
there. Today, the experience is not in the heads only. It is on the machines as well. Your report shows over there. When we talk about data, when we talk about AI, artificial intelligence over there as well, all these things are in the machines today. So now a 35-year-old can use this data. He can learn the remaining 5 years over there, and he can lead the companies into the new technologies and new dimensions and create new opportunities that you were talking about.
Yeah,
as
and
well.
we are the
Brilliant,
smartest
brilliant.
people who might be only 16 or 15 years old as well, or probably younger than that. But now, sir, let's come down to the true essence of it. Because whenever we speak about technology, it comes with an Urdu ka muhavra where it says कि जितना गुड़ डालोगे उतना मीठा होगा. So you walk into an Apple shop, you walk into a computer shop, you walk in everywhere. They just talk about money. Okay, sir, i7 latest technology, or these processors has just come in and whatnot. Now, for every household, let's talk about that. For our audiences as well. How do we calculate that? What kind of technology advancement do we require for ourselves, and go accordingly, rather than overspending on technology and not to having to eat food as well. मैंने तो laptop ही ले लिया सारे पैसों का, अब खाऊंगा क्या? So how do we kind of match the need for our technology, and how to kind of go about it?
Now that's an interesting way of how you put business in there. So if you have taken a laptop out of that one, that you may have cut cost on some office space over there as well, and now you have your home or your bedroom or your office is the new work office that you are talking about today. I think technology, if you talk about, is getting cheaper every day. Go back in the early 2000s and you will find the mobile phone so expensive. Today, it's under $10 and it's available. It's relatively smart. You can use all these the tools and the applications that you are talking about today as well. So technology is going cheaper every passing day, and I think that's important to understand from that angle.
Yeah.
I think all the people, and if you talk, and it's not more anymore about education. There are many people who are not learned enough, but they are smart enough to use these smartphones, and they are able to use these applications and create their own businesses as well.
Absolutely.
I think the important thing is to see that how these different paths are connected to each other, how the education can help the technology and IT take moving forward, and how the person can earn the new money and the new opportunity that is coming on their paths as well.
And I believe that's the question which Mr. Kamal needs to answer. You said, Kamal sir, so how do you think education is actually going to help transform technology?
See, education, as I already mentioned, this is a smartphone. So we have university over here. So you can like go anywhere, you can use smartphone. It doesn't matter how much expensive you are having a smartphone. So even as I said, even if you have a smartphone of maybe 2,000, 3,000 rupee, but if it is a smartphone, you can turn on your live class over there, and you can even download PowerPoints, you can download your lectures, you can listen to it, or you can record it over here. You can even do assignments over there. The point you were mentioning, how much we have to spend. No, over here you have to stop yourself. Like when I was young, I wanted to have the latest machine.
You still look young though, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I wanted to have a latest machine. Now my son, so he is just 10 right now. So I was looking into him, like he is taking online classes from the last 1 year.
Is he still using your laptop?
He's no, not now. He's having his own desktop. But a month back or two, I thought that he's very good in drawing. So I asked him to start working on Photoshop or Illustrator. So he started working over there. So technology is moving on.
Definitely.
And I remember when I was around 27, so at that time I started doing this Photoshop and video editing thing. No, but he's just 10. So technology is moving on, and I have seen that okay, this boy has some potential, so he has to work on this thing. And jobs, you were talking about job market, so we will educate in education. Our role is to educate our students.
Yes,
Or
of course.
they are our kids, so we are educating them according to technology. So there are so many different opportunities in the market, so they can explore the market. As I said, I've started working on my son, so people are working on their.
And yeah,
That's
you're
brilliant.
getting results as well, which I believe is great. And continuously adapting to newer changes, ladies and gentlemen, will actually help you in being a more progressive and probably focusing more on whatever is happening newer in this world as well. So, which is why I would rather want you, sir, to wrap it up on our behalf as well, because you would be apt for that as well.
Absolutely.
So, please tell audiences what to do in terms of digital transformation.
I think the most important thing for digital transformation is to adapt yourself with the new technologies, especially learning about how these different apps and different entrepreneurship solutions are going to help the people in Pakistan. I think we have a lot of issues in Pakistan, and we still can use technology to its best of its ability. I think if we talk about different sectors, if we talk about ENR, energy and sector, we talk about education sector, we talk about public sector, I think government is trying its best to use different entrepreneurship solutions and help the people of Pakistan. I think we need to adapt to this change, we need to be ready, and we need to be making more effort to make sure that all these things connect to the people of Pakistan and we can make the life of the people better. We owe to this country, and it's very important to us that how this technology can help and we can create opportunities for the youth of Pakistan. Our strength is our youth, and we need to provide these platforms towards them to make sure that we help Pakistan and make Pakistan grow and prosper. In the best of
Brilliant.
the
That's wonderful.
Amazing.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, every single day, coming on television, making sure that we share something very useful with you is because of the fact that R&D is really very simple in these times as well, and that we are able to research just because of this advancement in technology.
Definitely. If you still have any questions, any queries, feedback related to this, let us know on our Facebook page with the name of
On your technological devices, World
Yes.
This Morning.
on YouTube
YouTube, it's World This Morning.
and on Twitter.
On Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, it's World This Morning without a G. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning. Take care.